Hello, and welcome back to Stone Soup.
The world according to Sci-Fi Geeks.
I'm still Rhiannon.
And I'm still Sandy. And we're going to talk about some sci-fi movies that are coming out shortly, but on a particular
subject. You all may recall that one of our earlier rants, I don't remember which episode exactly, but we had a, to put it politely, talk about the media's perception of female beauty and weight and all that. Well, yesterday in the LA Times, they had a large article about what message we're sending our young boys with these big, beefy superhero movies.
Oh, the horror.
Let me get this straight. We are sending our boys a bad message by saying if you eat right and exercise like a demon, you too could be a glistening Adonis. Oh, how can we live ourselves?
Yes. How terrible.
Compared to the messages that the media sends young women, this is nothing.
These men are supremely healthy.
Mm-hmm. They diet like crazy. Well, sort of a diet. Not the kind of diet one typically thinks of when one says diet, but
it's not a weight loss diet. It's a muscle gain diet. It requires them to eat a specific way. A lot of protein, carbs, and working out like a demon.
Yes.
Otherwise, they get fat, not muscular.
Yes.
It goes on to comment on it might lead to steroid use. Anybody who would use steroids to get beefy is already kind of broken, and they didn't make them broken.
Yes.
Now, I will say,
all these actors say over and over again that they do not use steroids. One or two might be lying, but if you look at them, you can tell by looking at their faces that no, they didn't use steroids.
What I have here is Jason Momoa from Conan, Thor, and Dwayne Johnson from the new Vin Diesel Fast and Furious movie. Now, I can tell by looking at Dwayne Johnson, there's no steroids there. His face isn't bloated and funny. He was an athlete to begin with. He's always been big.
You know, he was a wrestler. It goes with the territory.
He took it down a little so he could get, normal roles. And so he just blew himself back up. Now, the guy who plays Thor did blow himself up rather spectacularly, to the point where they had to make a new costume because he got a little too big.
Yes. And apparently, according to interviews with him, he doesn't actually like being that big. It's a crying shame because we love looking at him as that big. But he wants to take it down when he can, and that's fine too.
But then, if you've seen the beginning of the new Star Trek movie where he played George Kirk, Jim Kirk's dad, he didn't look like this. He just looked like a man. In good shape, but, not like a god.
It's mind-blowing to think it's the same person, I tell you.
And once they've finished making the Avengers movie, he'll probably take it down because looking like that's going to limit what he can get.
Yes. Now, this article also comments about how, the horror, in posters and things, they Photoshop them to make them look even bigger.
I don't know if you can tell, but in this picture of Jason Momoa, they have painted his abs to make them stand out. There's makeup on those abs.
You know what to look for. You can see it. But again, compared to what they do to women in posters and pictures, that is nothing. They take women, they squinch them down, they stretch them out to make them look even skinnier and taller than they actually are.
And we're talking about the supermodels.
Yeah.
Hello? Yeah, you're worried that we will encourage our sons to get super, super healthy and super, super buff, or they might take drugs to do it. Okay, except for the taking drugs to do it, the rest of that is bad.
Yeah. How is this a negative message?
Whereas we push on our daughters to starve yourself to death.
And get plastic surgery.
And get plastic surgery because you're never going to be pretty. Yeah, otherwise. You're going to have to get yourself some store-bought boobs. Because after you've lost every ounce of fat on your body, you ain't going to have any. You're going to have to go out and get yourself some. You're going to buy some. I don't know. This article just had us talking for 2 days about, please.
How can you seriously be complaining about this?
And I will admit, I could stare at this picture of Jason Momoa for days.
Yes. Pretty. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, so rough. And this is a lovely shot of the new Captain America, Chris Evans, who, by the way, is the old Human Torch.
Yes. Oh, and he was adorable as the Human
Torch, too. And he had a great shape then, but he wasn't enough.
Yes.
I mean, Johnny Storm had fire. He didn't need muscles.
That's the other thing, what message are we sending? Well, keeping in mind that several of these, even Conan, is a comic book character. And in the comics, they very often will, let's be honest, overdo physiques, male and female alike.
Well, actually, Conan, before he was a comic book character, was a novel character.
Was he?
Oh, yeah, there's a whole raft of novels about Conan the Barbarian.
About that, but I forgot. Okay.
Yeah. Well, you're young.
And the books are not.
And the books are not. And, of course, Thor is the freaking god of thunder.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Captain America is literally a super soldier.
He is created with a super soldier serum. Now, I will grant you, that might be construed as steroids. Except I don't think in the comic book or in this movie that it is simply steroids.
No, it's some kind of very special concoction,
because it happens overnight, man.
Seriously.
Pumping full of this stuff, stuff him in some kind of special cabinet and cook him for a while. And when he pops out,
the easy bake oven's ready.
Yeah. Oh, look, the timer's up. Yeah. And there he is. Beefcake.
Yes.
Woohoo, I'll take a slab.
But as I understand it, at least in the comics, I don't know if they're going to keep this for the movie because, well, the movie's not out yet, so I haven't seen it yet. But probably they will also be there is the point that, because now the thing about it was mentioned in the Hulk movie, that the serum doesn't work for everyone.
As a matter of fact, it didn't work for anyone except Steve Rogers.
Yep.
Everybody else died.
Which must have limited the number of volunteers after a while.
Well, yeah, I would think so.
But Steve wanted so bad to serve.
And that's also why there is only one super soldier, only one Captain America, and not an entire platoon.
Which, again, makes it very
different.
It just
didn't work. Because, it's different having Captain America, the superhero, from having an entire unit of super soldiers.
Yes.
It's like,
again,
I am Captain America, this is Lieutenant America, and back here we have all of the Private Americas, and we're coming to kick your scrawny butts.
Okay. Oh, I know what you got. You have Captain America, and all the rest of them are named after the various states.
There you go. There's Captain California, and that little guy back there, that'll be Captain Rhode Island. What can you do?
The Big Bruiser, that's Captain Texas. The Bigger Bruiser, that's Captain Alaska.
Take the parka off. Anyway.
But anyway, the point is, this article just has going, you've got to be kidding. The bad message we're sending to our boys because we're showing them, look at the lovely beefcake. When compared
and you might want to look like that too. And you know what? I don't care what they have taken, steroids or whatever. They still have to get their butts into a gym and work and work and work.
Yep.
Muscles don't just happen.
No. And, everybody knows just how bad steroids can screw you up. So you'd have to be pretty damn desperate to do it anyway. I mean, this article does claim that there's a tiny group of men who are just so crushingly ashamed of their inability to build muscle. They need therapy anyway.
Yeah. Dwayne Johnson here, it says that they asked him what he did, and he said he ate 6,000 to 8,000 calories a day, and followed his regular iron-pumping regimen of sweat, spit, and sometimes training so hard I threw up a little bit in my mouth. Now, doesn't that sound like something you'd really want to do? Not. They do it because they need to.
Mm-hmm. Look good for the camera.
They'll take it back down.
Mm-hmm. When they can.
Because it takes so much time and so much effort.
Oh, yes.
That they,
various actors, Chris Judge, who was Teal'c on Stargate SG-1, has said that between takes, they will be exercising to keep up the bulk.
They're in there pumping iron constantly.
It's a lot of work to get that big, yes. But again, what message are we sending to our boys? If you work really, really hard, you can look like this. How is that a bad message?
Yeah, seriously.
Again, at least this message tells them to be healthy. Mostly.
Yeah.
Again, compared to the message that girls get, this is not a bad message.
No, it isn't.
I don't see this resulting in, eating disorders, by and large.
No, steroid use. Steroid use would be the only possible negative. Mm-hmm. I suppose they could over-exercise trying to look like that. The other thing is, Dwayne Johnson is 6'4", Jason Momoa is 6'4", Chris Helms is 6'3". I think Shorty here is only 6'1".
Mm-hmm. This is something else to keep in mind.
Yeah, this is something else to keep in mind. Are guys now going to feel totally inadequate because they're not tall? We're the queens of not tall.
Oh, yep.
Yeah. And it's just,
You get used to your own height.
Yeah, you kind of get used to the way the world looks from where you're standing. Mm-hmm. But, these are big men to begin with. Mm-hmm.
So, again, it's easier for them to build it up like that because there's more to work with to start with.
Yeah. So like she says, this article just kind of set us off. We said, oh, we are so talking about this. So, yes, let us send a message to our young men. Eat well, work out, get buff.
Yes.
Gee, ain't that a shame? How about if we send that message to our girls, too?
Yeah.
And stop telling our young men that the only pretty women are the ones who look like they should have been buried 3 days ago.
Oh, sure. This might be setting up an unrealistic expectation for young women who want these big buff men, but at least for most men, it actually is physically possible to achieve a body like that. For women, it's not physically possible to achieve the bodies the media says they should have. Think about that.
Yeah. What? Yes, we have bones. Yeah.
Muscle
I mean, we
tissue.
walk
You got it.
through the mall. We go past Victoria's Secret, and they have those great big, bigger than life-size posters in the windows. And my husband, who's a
Probably
computer
mentioned before.
expert, looks at them and says, "Stretched her." He can tell. He knows what to look for.
Yep.
If you have to take a supermodel and adjust her body in order for the poster to look the way you want it to, how can we compete with that?
Seriously. It's one thing to go in and edit out a blemish,
Yeah.
Oh, she's got a pimple there, or,
Well,
red
yeah.
eye.
Oh, yeah. That
Smooth out that leg. That's one thing.
That's one thing. Get that cottage cheese out of there. But
Oop, there goes
but
vein.
making her, narrower and taller.
I mean, one model, I think, sued the company she used to work for because they took a picture of her and shrank her like 2 sizes for their poster. And she was like, what the hell?
Because she wasn't fat.
No.
And yeah, I remember that vaguely. She was ticked.
And rightfully so.
And then they apologized and pulled the poster because somehow they hadn't realized what they'd done, they said. Yeah, right. You know how much
right.
work it is to do that? I've watched my husband work with Photoshop. Give me a break. But anyway, so,
The point is,
well, we've made the point
yeah,
multiple times.
bad
other-
message for our boys, my butt.
And the other point is, can't wait for summer. Yay!
Expect reviews.
What? Oh,
Expect
expect reviews. Yes, many reviews. We might have to view a couple of these movies multiple times to, really understand them well.
Crying shame, isn't it?
It's a dirty job, but someone's got to do it. Okay.
Bye-bye.